Good morning, Turks and Caicos. Welcome to First Edition. My two guests seem fresher than I am after having done so much work over the weekend. Let's say good morning to the Director of Youth, Mrs. Jatavia Howell Delancey. Madam Director, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here.
And we have, she's back with us. Brianna Walcott is our youth officer. How are you this morning?
Awesome. Feeling refreshed.
Really?
After a long weekend, yes.
I thought you both would have still been asleep. Having a well-deserved rest. But let's get right into it. Saturday night was powerful. So in one word, how would you describe the atmosphere inside the venue? What did you think?
I thought it was exciting to see the awardees receive their awards, to see the audience accepting them and giving them the applause. It was absolutely exciting. And even the performances that we had, I thought the police band was exceptional. D'Angelo played very well,
yes.
well deserving of the Youth and Performing Arts Award. So it was exciting. I quite enjoyed the show.
Yeah. If you're just joining us, we're having like a post youth award show here this morning with the director and the youth officer. Now, attendance looks strong. What did the turnout say to you about youth engagement in these islands?
I think that it was beautiful. We had a array of persons in attendance. We had the awardees along with their guests. And I think what was most important to highlight was the youth that were inside of the room. Outside of the awardees, we had students from the different high schools in attendance. And I think it allowed you to feel fulfilled with what you were actually doing, and for them to see the potential of our youth, seeing persons that look like themselves and what it is that they accomplished. So just hearing the different accolades or hearing the impact that these young persons had on their community, it was definitely inspirational.
So from the opening moment to the final award, what stood out most to you?
I would have to say the awardees, from the way that they presented themselves, the way that they dressed, the trophies.
Oh, the trophies were
Mr.
outstanding.
Henfield, the showman, he did his thing with those trophies. But the audience interaction, as well as I mentioned earlier, it was inspiring. And I hope the persons that attended, especially the youth that Ms. Walcott mentioned, was inspired by what they would have seen during the National Youth Awards. I mentioned a few things, but
I was so proud that you went with something authentic for the trophy. I thought that was truly outstanding. That was amazing.
We always try to incorporate culture in everything that we do, and the conch shell is Turks and Caicos Island culture.
Yeah, that was nice. So how did this year's theme come about?
We actually, during National Youth Week, would have hosted a theme competition, and Mr. Damari Fulford was the winner of that competition. So Youth with Purpose, building a sustainable TCI, and we thought, what better fit than to highlight those youth who are contributing to the development of the Turks and Caicos Islands, and keeping that theme for the National Youth Awards. And I think that throughout the event, persons could have seen exactly that taking place in each of the awardees and their bios, and all of the things that would have happened during that event.
Yeah. And Madam Director, you mentioned earlier more than once the awardees. Did you see any sort of common traits among them, like discipline or resilience, or, you know, what they did? Did you see any sort of common trait?
Well, of course, everyone is different, and we made sure that the categories were as broad as possible. But discipline is a key trait in every single one of the awardees. Another thing that we were looking for was consistency. My word for the Youth Awards was consistency, because we saw it reflected in every single person that was awarded. They were consistent in their efforts and in everything that they did that built up to this moment.
You wanted to add something?
Yes. I also wanted to add to that service. I don't know if everyone got to tune in, and if you haven't, it's on the Turks and Caicos Islands government Facebook page so that you can rewatch. But all of the awardees have given back to their community some way, shape, or form, whether that be in their school, their churches, or the broader community, they have all given back service above self. Yes.
Yeah. And how important, and both of you could probably tune in on this, how important was it for, you think, for peers, for young people to see their peers being celebrated publicly, not just athletes or politicians or local celebrities? How important was that?
That was extremely important because we wanted the whole theme of the Youth Awards for them to be inspired, for them to see youth with purpose building a wonderful TCI, a sustainable TCI, a TCI that we could all look at and be proud of. So those, as Ms. Walcott would have said, those persons contributing to society and ensuring that their services are given, we wanted the youth to be inspired by that and to see it and say, you know what, in the next 2 years, I'm going to ensure that I get an award. I'm going to ensure that I'm on that stage and being appreciated and applauded. I'm going to do something for my community that is going to be impactful.
Mm-hmm. Listeners, viewers, if you're just joining us, we're speaking to the youth department officials post their youth awards on Saturday evening. And like Ms. Walcott just said, if you missed it, you missed a wonderful evening. But you can go back and have a look on the government's Facebook page. Now, when you think of the awards and you look at the awardees, what do you think of the future of TCI and its leadership?
The future is bright. It is bright. We have youth that are doing excellent things, excelling in religion, in cosmetology, in barbering, in construction, in education, in sports, in agriculture. The future is bright for Turks and Caicos. They are youth that are excelling in technical skills, vocational, performing arts. Come on.
Yeah, you ran the gamut in terms of categories there. How many categories were there?
32.
Wow.
And we plan to either bring more on stream because we want to capture everyone. We want to ensure that every sector is covered and not just the mainstream ones, because look at the Youth Influencer Award. Like Mr. Bean has been sent off to Dubai by TikTok. Like these are the things that are happening for our youth here in Turks and Caicos Islands, and that isn't small.
Yeah.
That's something to be celebrated.
Yeah. I wanted to mention that. That's a big deal. Getting to ring the bell at TikTok. I mean, you've got to have millions of followers for them to invite you to do that. So that was huge. That was quite an achievement.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that was amazing. So for the young viewer listener who may have missed the event, and I know we've already told them where they could go and see it, but what lesson would you like them to get from Saturday's awards?
I think that one of the most important lessons is understanding the value that your service, that your work has on the Turks and Caicos Islands, and I think it goes beyond awards because aside from getting an actual award, you are now becoming a role model for a lot of other persons within your community that you don't even know about. And you also think about the opportunity that it not only opens for you, but other persons within your community. And I know that a lot of the attendees, a lot of the stakeholders there are trying to figure out how they can actually engage these youth and find more opportunities for not only them, but other youth in the community to actually elevate themselves and, you know.
Yeah, and from the categories, I mean, we mentioned it really is open to almost every young person throughout these islands, regardless of what they do or, you know, what career choice they've taken. It really covered a wide array. So, I mean, everybody was included.
Yeah, yes, that's what we wanted.
Yeah. Let's go back to the theme for a minute, youth with purpose. That could sound a bit abstract, but how do you think the event made purpose feel practicable and achievable?
You know, when we speak about purpose, we almost want it to be abstract. We want you to think about a wide array of areas and sectors where you can feel purposeful, we want your mind to be as open as possible when we talk about purpose in the theme, and that's one of the reasons why it was chosen. In terms of the awards, the categories were broad.
Yeah.
And I'm still open to any suggestions for more categories in the future, but we wanted to keep it broad because we wanted to showcase the purpose and the service that our youth are contributing to the Turks and Caicos Islands. We want that inspiration, that purpose to be fuel for the youth to do more and at least want to do more, because now you're seeing that your peers are being appreciated for the things that they're doing.
Yeah, and that's a great segue, Director, because when we talk about a sustainable TCI, what role do you see young people realistically playing in making that happen? How are young people ensuring that we have a sustainable TCI?
I don't know if you saw, but the young people of the Turks and Caicos Islands are, what I would say, ahead of their time. We are a lot more educated, we are a lot more involved, and I think we have a better understanding of exactly what we would like to see the Turks and Caicos Islands look like. So when we talk about sustainable, we're considering the economy, we're considering tourism, we're considering infrastructure, and if you sit in any youth group and have a conversation about Turks and Caicos, these are the things that they're talking about. We don't want the bashing or blaming persons anymore. We want action. And as you can see from the awards, we're seeing what we can do to ensure that Turks and Caicos Islands is sustainable for the locals and everyone involved.
And going back a little bit, let's go back to purpose a little bit. What does purpose, you think, look like or should feel like for a young person who perhaps feels insecure, pressured, unnoticed? What's that person's purpose?
I think in understanding your purpose, you have a better realization of what it is you can actually contribute to your society, understanding what your skill sets are, how to place them, how it can not only benefit you, but those around you. I think purpose is one of the things, especially for young persons now. Youth is ages 12 to 35, and majority of that period is trying to actually discover what your purpose is. So it's almost extremely difficult to identify. But I think now is that time and that journey of actually discovering this, and when you find it, then you'll know exactly what it is.
Yeah, let's focus more on you two in the department for a little bit. What did the planning process look like, and how far back did preparations go?
Preparations for the Youth Awards started, I would like to say, as soon as I got in. We knew that it was supposed to happen every 2 years. So the inaugural one was in 2023. So it was actually supposed to happen in 2025, of which we had the date for. So we started planning immediately in June, creating committees, subcommittees, ensuring that youth of all sectors were involved. So as we created the categories in-house, we were trying to get youth from those sectors into our committee, almost as just the beginning, so that we can at least hear who they know in the sector are doing great things. And then we also involved the teachers, we involved guidance counselors, vice principals, principals, because we wanted them to also be a catalyst in encouraging persons to nominate other persons, or even to nominate yourselves. I think a lot of people didn't fully understand the nomination process, and that's something that we're going to work on for the next award. So yes, you can nominate yourself. Please do nominate others as well. Parents can nominate their children if they think they're doing grand things. Guidance counselors, teachers, principals can nominate students in the schools that they feel are doing great things. Guidance counselors can nominate persons that have left school and they know are contributing back to the community and to the schools. I divulge a little bit, but So we had those committees. Then we would have released the nomination forms in late September,
Yes.
and then it closed like mid-November for people to put their nominations in. We wanted to give them at least a month and a half to get those nominations in, and we got quite a few nominations. Would you like to add?
Over 100 nominations.
Really?
So it was a lot to go through, but it most definitely was a lot of work. One of the key things that we wanted to focus on is making sure that it was youth focused and that we also had active youth participation. So planning with youth in mind and making sure that it was also planned by youth. We can't host an event for youth without having the voices of our youth involved in the process of making things like this happen. I know that for our team it was a lot of sleepless nights, especially our committee. A lot of work went into it, and I think that it was definitely worth it, just being able to see the impact that it had and what it can be moving forward. But yes.
Well, you kind of answered my next question, because I was going to say that, you know, we often hear the youth say decisions are made for them and things are done without their inclusion. But you did say that the youth were involved in the process as well.
Yes, indeed.
So they were at the table.
Yes.
And that's
Youth
so
were the
important.
table.
Yeah. Oh, good. Youth were the table. Did you hear that? Okay. Were there any challenges that came with planning the event? Oh, look at the director.
We never expect things to go exactly as planned, because we had the booklet pretty much completed about a month in advance. So there were a few challenges when it came to the expectations of the event and what actually happened. There were a few things that were to happen that had to be replaced. Hopefully none of that was noticed. There were a bit of challenges when it came to transportation and ensuring that the awardees from the various islands were still able to come and have their two guests with them. There were challenges when it came to funding, but of course we made it work, because we really wanted this award ceremony to happen. We really wanted for the youths to be appreciated in this manner, so we made it happen. I wouldn't even talk about the challenges, because the event was amazing.
Yes, it was.
We tried as much as possible to make it seamless. And then look at the timing. The timing was wonderful. We were 2 hours and 40 minutes or so.
I was actually surprised.
Yeah. We ran a tight
Yeah,
schedule.
it ended before I thought it would.
Yeah. We ran a tight schedule and it worked out, because we didn't want to exhaust anyone. So I'm just happy the event went extremely well, way above my expectations.
And you know, if we haven't said thank you, we'd truly like to say thank you. Job well done.
Thank you very much.
You
You're
did
welcome.
an amazing job. It was really appreciated. So thank you from all of us. But you just mentioned the islands. How important was it to ensure that the entire Turks and Caicos was covered and involved? Because often we hear, oh, it's happening in Providenciales, as if Providenciales is Turks and Caicos. But you had people from all walks of life from each island. How important and necessary was that?
And that's exactly what I was going to say. I don't think it was important, it was necessary. It was a necessity, because youth on all islands are doing grand things, are giving back to their communities and their schools. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to ensure that the Stalwart in Youth Award was island-wide.
Yeah.
We wanted to at least give or show appreciation to at least one youth on each of the islands, to ensure that those persons and their services were captured for the entire Turks and Caicos Islands to see. Because youth are doing grand things on the other islands, but they're the only ones that see it, those persons on those islands. So we want to ensure that the Turks and Caicos Islands can see what Mr. Renico Taylor is doing in North Cacus, what Miss Brianna Forbes is doing in Middle Cacus, what Shakia Lewis
Yeah.
is doing in Grand Turk, Mr. Lewis in South
Cacus,
Cacus.
yeah.
So just ensuring that they had their spotlight as well. There were a lot of nominations, I must say, coming out of Grand Turk and Providenciales. So one of the things we may have to improve on, or we definitely will improve on, is ensuring that all of the other islands know and have access to those nominations. One of the reasons we involved the teachers and the guidance counselors and principals, etc., was so that we could capture the persons on those islands. There were a few nominations still from the various islands, but it was dominated by Grand Turk and Providenciales.
Yeah.
So just ensuring that we captured every island, the Stalwart Youth Awards was there to capture that.
Yeah. You know, it's not just a trait of youth, but I guess it's human nature. If we don't win, we tend to feel, you know, rejected and oh, I'm not going to try again or forget about it. How are you ensuring that those youth who didn't win stay motivated and engaged?
We are actually planning not only to work along with the awardees, but the nominees as well. So these persons can expect to hear from our office for us to engage with them throughout the upcoming year and next year as well with the various youth initiatives that we have. And given the wide variety of categories that we have, we can see how we can tap into the different sectors, whether it be through mentorship, service initiatives, and a lot of the exciting events that we have upcoming. I don't want to spoil it all. You know, persons would just have to stay tuned to the Department of Youth Affairs pages to see all of the things that we have coming up, you know. I think a lot of persons only focus on the awards bit, but there's a lot of other things that build up to it.
Yeah.
So we want to encourage you to stay tuned and be involved in what we have to offer the youth.
And I do want to add, please, awardees, encourage your peers. Make sure that they feel, or make sure that they are doing things, giving back to their community, putting service above self. Encourage your peers in those various sectors so that they can then be nominated for the awards as well. I remember when I won the award in 2023, Mr. Surpass came to me and he was like, I thought I was going to win that award. And I said, you are going to win the award in 2 years' time. And then look at it.
Yeah, there he was.
There he was.
Yeah.
I told him when I saw that one was nominated and won, I said, look at you now. I told you you were going to win.
You know, we just had a question. You mentioned getting the teachers and the guidance counselors and the schools involved. Did you look wider afield? Did you involve like the churches and civic groups, or do you plan to?
We do plan to work along with a wider variety of organizations, and if I may spoil it a little bit, we are now working up to hosting a consultation for our National Youth Agency. So we'll be conducting that drive in the next upcoming week. And so by building that body of persons, we're going to ensure that we are always incorporating youth organizations, churches, NGOs, stakeholders that consistently engage with youth, so that for initiatives like these, we are constantly ensuring that everyone has access to the information, that everyone is involved, that we're being inclusive and intentional, as my honorable minister likes to say.
That's my favorite word, yes.
To be very intentional about how we approach that. We are not just hosting these initiatives for youth, but we are ensuring that it is purpose-driven, that it will have a positive impact on them, and that it is leading up to building a sustainable TCI.
Well said.
What did you say your manpower team was?
It is roughly 5 of us.
And you do all these initiatives?
Yes,
year
indeed.
round?
We are driven by our want, our dedication, our passion for youth work and youth development. And that is it.
Hats off to you.
We'll always ask for more staff, but I always want to encourage anyone out there, it doesn't matter the age, to look into youth development, look into youth work. There are various career paths in youth development, and we need those persons here in the Turks and Caicos Islands. So I encourage you to, if you're not sure about what you're studying, if you are in high school or even in college and you're unsure of your career path, look into youth development. It may just interest you.
What a plug. So, Madam Director, what's your message to the young person who's sitting there right now saying, I've been doing all the right things for years and I've not yet been recognized?
Well, for starters, you're next. We have a keen eye out looking for persons that are doing grand things in their society. And then, second to that, recognition isn't everything. Sometimes the person doing the most is recognized the least. But that doesn't mean that what you're doing is not impactful. It may be the most impactful thing. Some people may see you doing something grand and think, well, he doesn't need recognition because it's already such a fantastic thing that you're doing. But you're next. No worries. As long as you're continuing the good work, people see it, people talk, and you will be recognized.
Yeah. Now, Saturday night was the celebration. What did Monday morning look like for youth development?
Well,
they're both smiling.
I can start off by saying Monday morning came with a lot of congratulatory remarks. A lot of people was happy about the way that the awards went. I got a lot of good comments about the timing, as I mentioned before, because no one felt exhausted afterwards. Monday morning was also, Jatavia Howell, here is what you have to do next. As I was alluding to earlier, the work never stops. The work for youth will never stop. So we have our next venture, that is the Youth Workers Association, as Ms. Walcott was alluding to. And we implore all of you, once the registration drive starts, please register yourself, your organization. It comes with a lot of benefits, and we want to ensure that we work with the correct people every time we're hosting events. We want the persons involved to be exactly who we need them to be. So look out for the Youth Workers Association, ensure that you register, and we look forward to working with you in the future. So Monday morning was just what's next? What's next for the Department of Youth Affairs?
Coming up on screen, you're going to see clips from Saturday night's event. We had remarks from Her Excellency the Governor. The Honorable Premier brought his remarks. Of course, the Minister of Education spoke and brought her remarks, and she was intentional about them. And then we'll show you some clips of the various awardees as well from Saturday evening. Now, how does this year's awards shape the roadmap for youth programming in 2026 and beyond? This seems to have just been the start.
I wouldn't say that it's the start, because youth development has been going on for quite some time. The National Youth Policy is already 5 years in. So what the National Youth Awards would have done in terms of our roadmap is create more avenues for us to access personal capital, pretty much. We are going to use, as Ms. Walcott alluded to, we're going to use each of our awardees in all of our workshops, in our campaigns, in our events, the various activities that we're doing. We're going to be using them in our mentorship programs and things of that like. So it's more of a catalyst to push forward our events and ensuring that they are promoted and well promoted to the right persons and impacts the communities that we wanted to.
You just mentioned and you threw it out for people to get involved in youth work, but what partnerships, be they public, private, community, are needed to help you sustain this momentum?
I think that when we talk about partnership and the stakeholder relationships, there's a lot that is needed with the churches, especially various youth groups. A lot of persons are now forming youth organizations, and I think that one of the key things that we notice, or one of the trends that we notice all the time, a lot of these bodies have very little human capital, and we are basically duplicating a lot of efforts. But when we look at initiatives like Bright Horizons, which is JPIC, headed by the Department of Rehabilitation and Community Service, it is a stakeholder partnership. And when we look at the impact that an initiative like that has, being that it is a beautiful blend of different departments working together, we think about the need for a lot of collaboration, unifying our efforts to have a greater impact on our communities versus working in silos. So that is one of the things that I would like for people to bear in mind. Let us work together versus working
In silos.
in silos. And, yeah.
I always say
Lots of
that
teamwork.
the issues that the youth face are far too complex for only one entity to try and tackle.
Yeah.
It needs to be a multi-agency approach in order for us to effectively tackle those problems, those issues.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I can go right into the next question. So those individuals beyond 35 that we classify as youth, how can they invest meaningfully in the development of young people?
Well, the age of youth is from 10 to 35. So you're asking about people beyond 35.
Yeah.
Volunteer. Lend your services. When it comes to mentorship, it's always difficult to find persons to fulfill those roles, mainly because a lot of them have other responsibilities, work and things of that like. But if you can spare even an hour out of your busy day to mentor, for example, some boys at the Clement Howell High School, we would appreciate that so much. It would have such a great impact. I would love for, especially those persons who may have taken the wrong path and have changed their lives along their journey. I want you to speak to those boys and girls about your journey, about how things are better when you change, about how you know what they're going through. You're the persons that knows what their feelings, because you've been through that already.
Yeah.
So if you can assist in any type of way, we accept anything, whether it is sports, you were once really good at sports and you want to give back to your community in that way, let us know. You've been in criminal activity and you've changed your life, let us know. We have mentorship programs for that. So if you're above 35 and you want to assist, mentoring is one of the main ways I can say would assist.
Yeah. And I think you both know me well enough to know that, somehow, somewhere along the way in this program, I've got to mention Grand Turk. So, are there any plans to take the Youth Awards to Grand Turk one year?
Well, I can say that our deputy director would not allow us to go any further with planning the National Youth Awards if it didn't go to Grand Turk.
Thank you, Nick.
But we are definitely looking to not only host initiatives in Provo, but also ensuring that it is taken over to Grand Turk. I think the last time that
And maybe
we were
throughout
on,
those small
Yes.
I was
events.
going to mention,
Yeah.
they're going to be on all islands because I am the representative for North and Middle Caicos. If we're going to have awards in Grand Turk and Providenciales, eventually we'll have them in North and Middle Caicos
Yeah,
as well. And
good.
South Caicos,
Yes.
you as well.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course, of
Yeah.
course.
And it's not just the awards, because look at the media expo that we had in
Yes,
Grand
Grand
Turk.
Turk,
That was
yeah.
something that was only
Yeah.
for Grand Turk, and that's something that we now have to move into the other islands because of how successful it was.
Yeah.
Even the AI symposium that we have in Provo, that's something we plan to move to the other islands. So we do have
To rotate.
grand plans to rotate all of our activities so that all of the youth can have some sort of experience with
That's
it.
good to know.
Yes.
I know North Caicos in particular, they're big on sports. I
Yeah.
mean, every time you hear about this green machine and So that'd be nice for them to experience too what, you know,
Yes.
Providenciales is always experiencing.
Yeah.
So it's important, and I'm glad that you're thinking of it, of taking it throughout the islands. Now let's also talk about the about Ariel Neely. We mentioned her on
Yes.
Saturday evening as well, but she also has a major achievement. Tell us a bit about that.
It is definitely a huge accomplishment. Getting into the top 20, well, the 20 finalists
Yeah.
for the Commonwealth Youth Awards. It
Yeah.
is a huge achievement, first for Turks and Caicos Islands. And I think it was between 77 countries or more, if I'm not mistaken.
And some over
And
900.
970 applications. And
And-
Turks and Caicos made it to the top 20.
Wow.
So to think about the impact that youth have, not only locally within their communities, nationally in the Turks and Caicos Islands, the Caribbean, this is worldwide. So to see this, it is definitely an indicator that we need to invest more in our youth, and to also highlight and actually understand the impact that our youth have here in the Turks and Caicos Islands. And also looking at the NIAP program, which is
Yes.
also within our Ministry of Education, another indicator of investment in our youth. So I think it sends a very clear message as to what we have to do.
Yeah. You know, we're always talking about you, and by you I mean your department, working and working. But are there any sort of, well, not necessarily benefits, but do you get engaged in any international trainings or conferences yourselves?
Yes, indeed. Well, we can start off with the Duke of Edinburgh program, because we had the trainers come in November of 2024, and they trained almost 30 or more persons in the award program, training how to go about the adventure journeys and things of that like. We have a lot of training with the Commonwealth and their youth organizations. We have training with CARICOM, because you know we have our CARICOM youth ambassadors. We have Shakia, our dean of CARICOM as well. So we have training with them as well. And then we're trying to bring in training, well, international accredited training for our youth workers, hence the Youth Workers Association. So we have a lot of training in docket for the youth department, but we also want to ensure that that goes out to the interested persons in the community as well.
Yeah. And does the cadet program fall under you?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and that's interesting in itself, and they seem to be doing a lot. I mean, I saw a little fella on Saturday evening. I thought, are you sure he's old enough? But how is that program going?
That program is going splendidly. They also have international training, because there is a Caribbean body of cadets. I think that's the name of it. I may be missaying it, but they have training on a monthly basis, and that's a regional group that do cadet training. They also recommended a trainer who is here in Turks and Caicos now doing training with the various cadet bodies. We have the Charlie Company in North Caicos that has about 28 cadets in it currently.
That's
They
awesome.
just had a badging ceremony last week Monday, and that was an absolutely beautiful showcase of what they're doing in North Caicos. Of course, they have the cadet body in Providenciales. They have a small cohort in South Caicos and Grand Turk as well. And then everyone looks forward to the cadet camp
Yeah.
in
that passing out.
Providenciales during the summer, which is 2 weeks of intense work. I try to go there at least 2 times for each week, just to see what's going on. And one of the things I was really happy about seeing is the amount of parent involvement that was going on in the camp and throughout the year, because now there is a Parent Cadet Association as well that ensures that the parents are engaged in the work that the cadets are doing. So to see the amount of parents at the camp taking time off from work, engaging with the various students and the children, absolutely amazing. I think what the cadet program for me is one of the great programs that the youth department have going on because of the discipline that it facilitates or it encourages in the various youth. I had one of the privates tell me that cadets saved their life because they saw themselves going down a path that wasn't going to be fruitful for them, and they said, you know what, let me try it, cadets, just to see what it's like. And now he is one of the high-ranking privates, training the various students, and he's doing well. He has prospects for the police force since being in cadets. So cadets, TCI Cadet Corps can change lives, and that's what we want to see happening.
And that's quite a testimony, and those are the feel-good stories that we need to let people know, especially not picking on them, but our young men, but our young women can also benefit from it. But those are the real stories that we want to, you know, real life stories. You can know this individual, you see them, you talk with them. So that's good, that's awesome, great. And I know that you've thanked your sponsors and partners already, and you'll probably do so in the future, but let me give you an opportunity to thank them nationally while you're here.
I mean, I must give utmost thanks to Honorable Rachel Taylor and the work that the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports and Culture did to assist us with this awards. I have to also thank the Executive Committee for all of their hard works, because they would have spearheaded the various subcommittees. So Ms. Arnell Taylor Hall, Mr. Aaron Lewis, Mr. Leonardo Lightburn, those guys really put in the hard work after working hours. So I have to give them the appreciation. Of course, Mr. Stanford Hanfield for those absolutely beautiful trophies. I said, can I have one? I would put that at the center of my table as a centerpiece. Key to events for the decorations, the police band for their wonderful renditions. I really appreciated that. The hosts, Ms. Shaquille Lewis and Mr. Ashley Brooks, did a wonderful job, and I thank them for their exceptional work. Mr. D'Angelo McLeod for his selection.
That was the saxophonist?
Yes, the saxophonist.
Oh.
Very, very
He could serenade me any day.
That is what he was called to do, and he does it with so much passion. I would like to thank him for coming on and serenading us.
Oh yeah, he was
as
great.
you would have said. So I think those are the main persons, and of course everyone that attended, everyone that listened via the radio waves and via Facebook, all of the awardees that came, because pretty much everyone came to accept the awards, and I thank you for coming and showing the Turks and Caicos exactly who you are. I thank all of the supporters, the parents, the teachers that make those awardees who they are, that make them the persons that give service to the Turks and Caicos Islands. Thank you for making them those persons.
You mentioned earlier about the awardees and even the nominees, you know, encouraging their peers to get involved or to nominate themselves or to nominate someone. What responsibility do you both think comes with being a role model, a young role model? What's the responsibility?
I think that one of the greatest things would be ensuring that they are not only disciplined and consistent, but they also hold themselves accountable. And I think at a heightened standard, when you are a role model, whether you think that you are or not, there's a lot of persons looking on to you, and a lot of the behaviors that you display, ensuring that you hold integrity at its highest core. There's a lot of things that people see, and I always say in my sessions to a lot of the students, what you do in front of others is not nearly as valuable as what you do behind closed doors when no one is watching. What would your actions or what would your words matter if it is in front of persons, but it is a completely different thing behind closed doors when no one is watching? Who are you then? So to say to those awardees, to those nominees, for persons who are playing an active role in the lives of others. Be a lot more intentional about how you present yourself and how you represent yourself, and just showcasing that to others.
I see intentional is becoming her word too. So, if history looks back at this generation of youth and young people, what do you hope they'll be remembered for?
I hope they'll be remembered for their resilience in their contributions, the way that they would have put themselves forward when no one else was doing it, the way that they would have given their ideas and showcased the various things that they do when the country needed it most. As the Premier would have alluded to, we are a nation that is building, and we need builders.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping that they would look back and say, this generation did the building that was necessary for the Turks and Caicos Islands to be the sustainable one that we want.
What's one sentence you would use to describe the youth of the TCI? If you were asked to describe the young people of Turks and Caicos, how would you?
The youth of the TCI are beautiful by nature, intelligent by choice. They are using the resources that are given to them to make sure that they are excelling, so that the Turks and Caicos Islands in exchange can excel. So that would be my sentence.
That's beautifully put.
Beautiful by nature,
Yeah.
intelligent by choice.
I don't think I can beat that.
Yo,
at
you
this
can't
point.
top that, but give it a shot.
I think I wanted to use the word authentic.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit French when you think about us living in a world of social media and persons wanting to replicate a lot of things that they see. But I think when we look at the youth of the Turks and Caicos, they don't necessarily care about a lot of those fancy things. They are authentically them. This is what I want to do. This is how I see things. And I much rather stay true to myself than to conform to the trends of the world.
All right.
Yeah. And I'm going to stick with you, Ms. Walcott. We're almost out of time. But what would be your message to every young person listening and watching us now who wants to live with purpose and help build a sustainable TCI? What's that message?
I would say to believe in yourself. I think that a lot of it starts with you deciding to make a change. Whether it is that you want to change your past, no one else can convince you. You have to make that decision for yourself. When you decide to make a difference within your community, to change yourself or to just make a difference, you have to first make that decision. So it all starts with you. And go for it. There's amazing things that you can do. There's a lot of potential. You just have to action it. So let action be your word for 2026.
And Madam Director, last word is yours. What's your message?
I would like to tell the youth that you matter. Your actions matter. Your contributions, even when small, they matter. I also want to encourage the youth to engage in the various programs and activities that the Turks and Caicos Islands government put out for you. Engage in the MSME programs, engage in Invest TCI, engage in the national internship and apprenticeship programs, engage in the various programs that the youth department put out for you, because they are only there for you to excel. And if you don't try, how would you know? Try it out, see if it works. It may just change your life.
Yeah. So in a world that often measures success by visibility, we paused on Saturday evening to honor substance. Young people who chose discipline over distraction, service over self-interest, vision over fear. Some of the young people celebrated have led quietly, and both our guests have said that. Some have failed, learned, and risen stronger, but all have shown us that excellence is not accidental. It is actually intentional. We've had guests this morning of the Director of Youth, Mr. Tavia Howell, and of course our Youth Officer, Brianna Walcott. This has been First Edition. Thank you so much for joining us. And youth, someone said the sky wasn't the limit on Saturday.
It isn't.
It is.
So aim higher.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.